Dear Alice, although we see each other most days, I'm writing to you because it's easier to put some things onto paper. I'm usually good at expressing myself, but I get tongue-tied, and my brain seems to go on a roundabout journey when I talk about something that makes me uncomfortable. When I was a child, I had this idea that if I misbehaved, my parents would sell me to a factory to be ground up and boiled into glue like a horse. I always thought my mother made that threat, but she insisted she would never say such a thing. It must have been someone else, or did I just make it up? I'm not so sure. The worst thing wasn't the fear of being ground up. I couldn't imagine for the life of me what the pain of being turned into glue would actually feel like, but the idea of swinging alone from a hanging conveyor by my ankle, about to be turned into something else. I think the helplessness is the worst part. Whether or not it was a real vindictive warning from an adult, it wouldn't have been out of place in the kind of gruesome stories that we do tell to children. And although we say childhood is a time of innocence and freedom, it's really about learning what to be afraid of and what stories to believe. We learn how to control and restrict our imagination, to put fear in the world of fantasy, but I don't think the adult world is any less scary. Paraphrasing J.K. Rowling, we can refuse to hear screams and peer inside cages. We close our minds and hearts to any suffering that does not touch us personally. We can refuse to know. So I'm writing you a letter because I want to talk about things that we conceal. Dear Alice, what have you been hiding? Rich.
Hi, Rich. Have you ever found a bag of salad leaves at the back of the fridge that you have no memory of buying? Today I picked one up and, holding it at arm's length, squinted at the use-by date. It said, December the 16th, 2015. I knew it was a bag of salad leaves because that's what it said. Mixed baby leaf salad, washed and ready to eat. But there was no evidence of that from its content. It looked like a bag full of liquid waste. Brown, translucent water, mysterious black solids. This sort of thing seems to be happening a lot to me at the moment. I didn't really notice the amount of rotten food accumulating in the fridge until my flatmate asked to pinch a bit of sour cream and found that it was full of mould. I haven't been able to live it down yet. I also found an old box of cherry tomatoes at the back of my cupboard. I say I found them. If I'm honest, it was more the other way round. I'd just washed up a mug and had opened the cupboard door to get a tea bag so that I could have a cup of tea whilst I listened to the newest Radiolab podcast. It's my favourite. Anyway, I opened the door and this sickly sweetness slowly drifted up my nostrils. Interested by the source of the odour, I did just what you'd do and went straight for the onions. They were a bit soft, but otherwise probably just about okay. We've got friends coming over this evening, and I know once I've had a couple of glasses of wine, I'll be much more open to using them. I continued unpacking the cupboard, taking out the pasta, baked beans, tinned tomatoes, until all I was faced with was the clear plastic container. I lifted the box up to examine the content and was sick in the sink. In my fridge, there are half-eaten tins of beans, carpeted with a blue-green mould. Feta cheese that has gone from porcelain white to a Manchester grey. When I go to the shop, I always think, it's been too long since I had toast with jam. But when I get back, there it is. a wall of glass jars in the fridge door, testament to my inability to live a functional existence. There's a kind of bacteria that grows on cooked rice that's supposed to be deadly. I had a curry from the place over the road 6 days ago, and it's still there on the second shelf up. I think maybe I should just eat it. Now you know how terrible I am at cooking. I suppose you probably won't be coming round for dinner anytime soon. Are you doing a better job of keeping things hidden than I am? Alice.
Hey Al, thank you for your letter. I don't think I can keep anything a secret. I'm worried that it will all get out. I'm scared because I'm being followed. He's watching me and interfering in my life at every step. He ties my earphones into knots and hides things, and borrows my debit card for ridiculous transactions. He disorganises the files on my laptop and types random spelling mistakes into documents. Sometimes it makes me scared to revisit things. I try to ignore the chaos he creates. I don't check my bank balance. I leave debris to accumulate. But he wants my attention, so he becomes more erratic. I think my shadow has developed its own agency. Why can't I keep him under control? In Peter Pan, Peter tries to reattach his shadow with soap. Wendy laughs at him, I guess because he doesn't know what soap's for, and she shows him how to sew it back on. I think my problem may be similar. It is my own fault that he's free to torment me. I'm too careless. I only ever seem to find a temporary kind of adhesive to stop him wandering off. I need to start taking responsibility for everything my shadow does. Alice, what makes you uncomfortable? Rich.
Oh, Rich T. My current problem seems to be, in my kitchen there is a mouse, or maybe it's a rat occupying my house. The dreaded rat, maybe I'll adopt a cat. This morning I got out of bed, and through a jumper pulled my head. Downstairs I went and boiled the kettle when I heard a noise to test my mettle. A sound came from the bin, and a filthy mouth appeared with a big toothy grin. I hear their scuttles in my dreams. I see their tails in between the sofa seams. My eyes, my ears I no longer trust. They are confused and cannot adjust. Reading the paper is an impossible task. In every word a rat does bask. When I study anthropology, I veer off in the direction of pathology. In my neurophobic state of mind, rational thinking has been left behind. I do understand Foucault's theory of power but this time I am watching over in Bentham's tower. Castrating a mouse fills me with glee. Rich, do you think there's something wrong with me? They say fear is all in the mind, but where exactly should I look to find? American Psycho is horribly gory. I should never have read this horror story. When a rat is released into a hole, it burrows and burrows deep into your soul. Rich, I must put an end to my grousing, and I wonder what is the best way to go mousing. A rope might be the one to do the trick, mousy-noosey nice and quick. Or maybe a pistol for the rotten worm, a mousy musket nice and firm. No, 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 I know just the thing. A little blue box will hit the sting. I will build the great wall of rodenticide and spread warfarin citywide. Little mousy mouse is now in a ditch. And tell me, what are you frightened of, Rich?
Dear Alice, I think your fear of rodents is completely rational. Also, I think this is a universal experience of student housing. You've tried catching them and releasing them away from the house, but they keep coming back. Now there's no option but to kill them all. I've never been all that scared of mice, as I've always seen them as victims. The cats that I grew up with as pets instigated bloody sadistic purges of the local rodent population, leaving the prized carcasses and dismembered limbs scattered around our front door. I also watched with fascination as many pre-killed mice were hunted down and eaten by my brother's corn snake, Tyrone, inside a sweet tin that had been repurposed as a kind of snake coliseum. You know, thinking about Tyrone, I remember one time he escaped from his enclosure. My brother and I had to track it down by putting aluminium foil around the walls and waiting until it got dark. Snakes dislike open spaces and move less in the light, so we planned to catch it by listening out for the rustle it made when it slithered around the sides of the house. The strange thing is that whilst we wanted to find the pet snake, the thought of it appearing suddenly from the darkness made me, understandably, quite uncomfortable. There is never one mouse or snake alone in my imagination. When I see one of these creatures, they are juxtaposed with the whole abject species. Bodies and bodies and bodies crawling and squirming and blinking in the subterranean basement network of our street. I think it's this agoraphobic disposition that I find so untrustworthy. They conceal themselves by instinct. I become hypersensitive to the sounds of rustling and movements in the corner of my eyes. I wonder what is hiding inside my home. Rich.
Rich, I don't know why the poison hasn't worked. Or maybe it has, and these are new mice. Yesterday I saw one run into the bathroom. I think they can run up and down the drains. So it feels like a bit of an uphill battle that I'm fighting. I thought I would be ready to face the mice by now, but it feels like it's going the other way. I've been dreaming about our letters, and last night was no exception. I dreamt that I was made of poison and not blood. All I could see was thick black liquid inside my body, and all I wanted was to bleed it all out of me. I'm not sleeping very well at the moment. I feel a bit odd. Before I go to bed, I'm filled with a deep sense of shame about the mess that I've made of my day. I think shame is a fear of being unworthy. And this overwhelming sense of unworthiness I feel when I close my eyes, lying in bed listening to the silence, it has complete hold of me and makes me self-absorbed. I can't see the bigger picture. Today, for instance, I tried to get ahead. I tried to get organised. I tried to book a train home to Norwich to visit my parents, only to discover I booked it for tomorrow and not next Thursday like I'd meant to. That's money I don't have down the drain. I wept and wept because of how stupid I'd been. Another mistake, classic Alice. I feel stuck in a body that doesn't do what I'd like it to do. Remember when you told me about your shadow playing tricks on you? I know exactly what you mean, except I'm the shadow. I'm the one making everything more difficult for myself. There's an Alice living a parallel existence to me, who doesn't bite her fingernails or overreact to insignificant things, and I'm living as her shadow. I assumed that when I left home at 18 that there would be a seismic shift in my thinking and behaviour, but I'm still waiting for it to happen.